It'll stabilize.
I know. So,
Okay, so it's been a few weeks, or maybe more like 2 months, but it's time to talk about Succession. One of the strongest finishes for arguably one of, if not the best, shows ever made. And while it's tempting to start at the ending and analyze how each of the characters ultimately sealed their fates, I feel that material has been covered by sharper minds and far more eloquent tongues than my own. Shout out to William Durea, by the way. His video essays on Succession actually motivated me to make this video.
Big shoes. Big shoes. Big shoes.
Instead, I want to focus on a topic that I think hasn't gotten nearly the attention it deserves. Succession's cinematography. Now I know what you're thinking. What are you talking about, Aaron? Succession's use of handheld cameras and unconventional zooms have been the show's calling cards since the show's pilot. And to that I say, you're absolutely right. But that's not really what I mean when I mention the show's genius cinematography. What I'm even more impressed by is Mark Mylod's uncanny ability to subtly convey complex thematic imagery in fluid, organically occurring shots. A feat that's often attempted, but is so rarely perfected. I'm looking at you, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
our laughingstock in polite society. You will never go to the opera again.
Succession does this so well that it's actually hard to choose which moments to analyze in this regard, because every scene is just dripping with symbolic imagery. The showrunners even dab on Zack Snyder by having Kendall hit the same Jesus pose as in Man of Steel, but doing it in a refined and elegant way. And while I could dissect Succession's many visual allusions to the Bible or Shakespeare, I want to talk to you today about stairs.
Unsubscribe.
Okay, well, hear me out. What if I told you that throughout Succession's 4 seasons, you could often tell who's climbing or falling in the show's power rankings by just watching them maneuver a staircase? Don't believe me? Well, there are many instances of this visual cue all the way back in the first couple episodes. For example, when Marcia initially stops Shiv from visiting her father's bedside, she is shown to have the high ground on the staircase, demonstrating her power over Shiv in that moment as Logan's healthcare proxy. Yet in the scene a short time later, however, when Shiv ignores Marcia's wishes and visits Logan anyways, she is shown pushing by Marcia to climb the steps upstairs, which represented her taking control of that particular situation. Sadly for Shiv, that control didn't last long before her half-conscious father began shoving her hand down his pants. Now, if that's a metaphor for something, I honestly have no idea what it's supposed to be, and I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, shall we
just sidebar that? You know, that particular situation has lots of big personalities.
Still, getting back to my main point, stairs in Succession are often used as a visual cue, and there are 2 particular scenes in Season 4 that I think do it very cleverly. The first is when Team Kenro are confirmed to be co-CEOs. As the Roy siblings leave the room to awkward cheers anointing Kendall's and kinda Roman's coronation, Shiv is shown to leave the all-important hall and descend the long flight of stairs back to the rest of the ordinary mourners. Having entered this episode as an equal member of a triumvirate, she has now been relegated from the seat of power on account to her lack of experience, or as she suspects, her gender. That isn't to say that she didn't try her best to snatch the crown. After all, she was the first to try and capitalize on the pencil mark's ambiguity. Yet, despite her attempts at a power grab, she stumbled when met with Kendall's scathing retort that left her absolutely speechless.
Well, it sure as fucking shit doesn't say Shiv.
Okay. So what else?
And just as she buckled under Kendall's direct attack, Shiv is then shown tripping on her way down the stairs, embarrassing herself in front of the party, just as she had a moment ago in front of the board. Maybe I'm reaching for straws on that last one, but Shiv's literal fall must have been included for a reason, and I don't think it's because Mark Mylod just wanted to see Sarah Snook eat the floor for his personal entertainment.
You, man.
Still, There's another brief scene in a later episode that further shows that attention to detail vis-a-vis staircases. During episode 8, the election episode, the trio of Roy kids is once again shown aligned on a staircase according to the respective power they have over the situation. When Kendall, Shiv, and Roman are discussing on how to react to the Milwaukee fire, Roman and Shiv are seen to be on opposing sides of the situation, while Kendall is torn between the possible upside of a Mencken win and his disgust with the Republican nominee's brand of supposedly authoritarian politics. It's important to note here that Shiv and Roman's disagreements, while political on the surface, are actually a thinly veiled tug-of-war for control of the company. Mencken is Roman's associate and has been far more amenable to the Roy brothers' need to intervene in the coming dojo merger. And while Roman is arguably throwing his network's weight behind a fascist candidate, he is doing so in a desperate bid to keep the Roy family in control of Waystar and ATN. If there was a non-fascist option available to achieve those ends, then Roman would have most certainly taken it. But if Nate's inclusion in the tailgate party episode and Kendall's awkward phone call with Jimenez proved anything, it's that the Democrats weren't that interested in playing ball in the first place. Shiv, on the other hand, is pulling for Jimenez for an equally self-serving, but far more duplicitous reason. Although she has been pretending to help her brothers in their attempt to keep the company family-owned, she's actually working with Madsen behind their back to ram through the deal without their consent. She might claim that her preferred candidate holds the moral high ground and that Mencken's election would spell chaos for the country. Hell, she might even be right, but that has nothing to do with the real reason she opposes Roman in the first place. Fortunately for Roman, however, he's co-CEO, and Shiv is not. As Roman briefly leaves the room, Kendall and Shiv suddenly realize that Mark Ravenhead, ATN's most famous and fiery anchor, has suddenly started upon a paranoid tirade blaming Democrats for starting the Milwaukee fire in the first place. And when an employee informs them that it was in fact Roman that sent those talking points, the visual context of the stairs comes back into play. Shiv is shown descending the stairs to berate Roman about his colorful editorial, furious yet powerless to do anything to stop him. While she might be armed with rhetorical venom, and maybe even the moral high ground, she has no official position, and therefore no authority within the company. Roman, instead of resorting to his usual verbal sarcasm,
What's up with Dipper?
chooses instead to demonstrate his dominance by playing the game of stairs. Walking by Shiv with a self-satisfied smirk, Roman ascends to the top of the staircase above his two siblings. Kendall, on the other hand, momentarily paralyzed, torn between his personal and business interests, stand glued to the middle of the staircase, meekly mumbling a protest as Roman ascends past him without a care in the world. And that's
all I have to say about that.
But honestly, I think that it's a testament to Succession's magnificent writing and cinematography that they can get me to spend 8 minutes now talking just about stairs. It goes to show you how much attention and detail went to creating this show. Anyways, please leave a like and subscribe if you think my commentary made any sense at all, and if you think I'm high on my own supply, definitely leave a comment telling me why this take is totally nuts.
You're talking gibberish.
This is my first ever video essay, and it's something that I really wanted to do for a while, and hopefully something that I continue to do from this point on.
So, I just wanted to get the gang together early in my tenure to say, yo.
It's definitely an honor to have you on this journey, and I definitely hope that with this video, I've earned your attention for the next one. Now, thank you, and
Fuck off.